Hey, it's Dr. Jade, Teta, and welcome to Metabolic Living's Immunity Upgrade Blueprint. In today's lecture, we're going to be talking about the problem with using only a scale to measure progress, how you should really be measuring progress for body change, and the healthiest and most attractive shapes. Now remember, the best defense is a strong immune system, and you get a strong immune system by developing a strong metabolism, because that's what provides the energy to fuel the immune system so that it can do its job fighting bacteria and virus and keeping you from getting infected. Let's get into this lecture. Here's what most people do. They don't understand that when you use only a scale to measure progress, that you can be losing different kinds of weight. It's very easy to gain or lose water weight, which tells you nothing about shape change and body fat. You also can be losing muscle, which is more metabolically active, firmer, and looks better on the body, and not losing fat. So if you're just using a scale, you won't be able to tell, am I losing water or fat? Am I losing muscle or fat? So we also want to do something else. Now, if you're using a circumference measurement, this is a little bit better. So you can see here a tape measure. It's a little bit better. It can help. It's probably preferred over just a scale if you're going to choose one or the other. But really, you want to be using both the scale and a circumference measure. These two things together are what you really want to be doing. If you are losing inches, especially if you measure in a low muscle area like around the waist, you can be more assured that you're losing fat. So let's say the scale remains the same, but you're losing inches. That is a great sign. That probably means that you are losing fat and maintaining, or perhaps even gaining, lean, firm tissue that changes the shape of the body. Now, there are other ways you can measure progress that work just fine. The way your clothes fit are a really interesting one, because we don't always lose weight from the areas that we would like or that we are measuring. Maybe we measure the hips and the butt and the bust, but maybe we're actually losing weight from our side saddles or our mid-thigh or a different place on the waist than what we're measuring, maybe the belly button versus the anatomical waist. And so the way clothes fit are a really good way to do this as well, but they shouldn't be used alone. We want to be using measuring tapes, and we want to be using weight as well as looking at the way clothes are fitting as well. Now, of course, looking at the mirror and taking selfies and things like this can also be a key component of this. Obviously, if you're starting to develop definition in your arms that you didn't have before, that tells you something about your progress. And so taking pictures, especially when flexing and things like that, may seem vain at first, but oftentimes can be a really good tool to measure progress. Of course, also progress in the gym and in your ability to get fit. It's not just about how we look, right? It's about how we function and how we feel. And so you want to be thinking also about, am I getting stronger and more fit as I embark on body change and trying to change my metabolism and my immune health? Ultimately, what we're trying to do is change the shape of the body. The metabolism wants to have a healthy body composition, the right sort of balance between lean, firm tissue and fluffy, fat tissue. That's ultimately what we are trying to do, is change the shape of the body. When you change the shape of the body, you can be assured that your metabolism is actually becoming healthier. If you're just getting smaller and remaining a pear or an apple shape, and as a result of losing weight, you just become a smaller, more pronounced apple or pear shaped, that's not what we want. What we want is to change the shape of the body. This is a wonderful indication of optimal metabolic health and immune function. Now, for men and women, there are optimal shapes that I want to share with you, because most people are unaware that the shape of a female physique or a male physique can be telling. And when you're losing weight, specifically fat, you want to make sure that you're attaining these particular shapes. So in the woman, this shape is called the hourglass shape. And it is assessed by measuring the chest across the nipple line, wear a sports bra, measuring the waist at the smallest point between the rib cage and the top of the hip bone, and then measuring the hips at the widest protrusion of the butt muscle. And then you can calculate the ratios here. You want to get a waist to chest ratio and a waist to hip ratio. The hourglass shape is achieved when the waist to hip ratio and the waist to chest ratio approximate one another. And the optimal would be right around 0.7. What's wonderful about this is every woman is a different size, some bigger, some smaller. This is why you can have plus-sized models who are much bigger but still have the apple shape appear and be beautiful to the eye, just as a smaller woman with an hourglass shape might be. This is where you get sort of models like Tyra Banks or someone like that who's a little bit more curvy and full-bodied versus someone like a Kate Moss who's more thin. Both, you will see, have this hourglass shape, and so it does account for each individual's genetics. This is the healthiest shape for a woman. It's also the shape that science says people who are romantically interested in women find most attractive. Now, for men, it's a little bit different. It's the V shape. This is a little bit easier to calculate. It's just measure the chest across the nipple line and then measure the waist at the smallest point between the rib cage and the top of the hip bone. This V shape is really calculated by the waist to chest ratio. And a V shape of less than 0.8 is where most men want to be. And again, bigger men versus smaller men. If you can achieve this V shape, it's the healthiest shape for men, and also the shape that research shows those romantically attracted to men find most attractive. Okay, key takeaways. The scale does not tell you the entire story. You want to be using weight and circumference together along with other things like, am I getting more defined? Are my clothes fitting better? Am I getting stronger and more fit? And you also want to understand how your shape is changing and be aware of this apple shape versus pear shape and realize that what you really want as a woman is the hourglass shape. Same thing with a man. You don't want that apple shape. You want the V shape. And so as you begin to lose weight and get healthier, we want you to be thinking about how to burn fat. And when you're burning fat and gaining or maintaining lean, firm tissue, the shape changes in a very particular way. Okay, thanks so much for watching today's episode. Remember, you can join at any time and still access all the old materials at www.metabolicliving.com. We have immune strengthening workouts, meal plans, and recipes there for all types, paleo, keto people, vegan, vegetarian, you name it, we've got you covered. If you've enjoyed this lecture, please share it with everyone you can. Don't forget to follow us at Metabolic Living on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And remember, we're all in this together. It's all about boosting the metabolism, strengthening the immune system, and flattening the curve together. Thanks so much for being here, and we will see you at the next lecture.